Talk, Talk, Talk 2. Written by Liskoria, editorial staff, and Dwayne Voorhees. Part 1. What do you think? Lesson 31. What do you want to say? Example. Many people think technology brings happiness to our lives and that time-saving machines give us more time. How would you tell folks that, on the contrary, it is new technology itself that is a main source of modern stress? Answer. Computers and mobile phones tie people closely to their jobs all the time, regardless of where they work. So their workload increases as efficiency improves. People are busier, even though they do more, but they still lack free time. The employer is getting a great deal, since he can squeeze more work out of the staff without paying more money. But the employee can no longer take a break to recharge his batteries. There is no safe place to hide and relax. The infernal machine will find him wherever he goes. What do you want to say? 1. Because of a traffic jam, you are late to work. Apologize to your boss.
2. Tell your boss you want the day off because you have a bad cold.
3. Tell a friend why he should save money for a rainy day.
4. Your friend failed the college entrance exam. Cheer him up and advise him to try another school.
5. Counsel your friend to stop smoking. Tell him both why and how.
6. How would you advise one of your parents to exercise more?
7. Tell your boyfriend or girlfriend to be sure to carry a good sunscreen on his or her summer vacation.
8. Tell your classmates not to give up on English.
9. Advise your brother not to choose a job based on salary alone, but to take other qualities into consideration.
10. Tell your friend to get a medical checkup every year.
11. Explain to your children why it is important to study hard. 12.
Inform your employees that it is necessary to cut their pay and to lay some of them off.
13. Let your best friend know that you won't be able to pay back his loan on time.
14. Tell your parents that you are in love and want to get married. After all, you don't think an 18-year-old is too young for marriage.
15. Tell your girlfriend or boyfriend that you have a new girlfriend or boyfriend.
16. Inform pet people that all dogs must be kept on a leash at all times when being walked.
17. Dissuade your daughter from having a nose job.
18. Tell your wife now is the time she must go back to work, since your finances are unlikely to improve.
19. Insist that drunk drivers are potential murderers on the road, so the punishment should be stricter.
20. Argue that women are becoming more powerful in all walks of life. Lesson 32. What should he do? Example: He is very forgetful. Answer: If he forgets appointments, he needs to get in the habit of writing them down and checking his calendar regularly. If he forgets names, he should try to create a memory link between a person's appearance or position and the name. The more absurd or exotic, the easier it is to remember. If he forgets information on tests, he should stop trying to memorize everything and try to understand basic processes and relationships. We can all remember between 3 and 8 things at once, so we need to learn how to organize bigger and bigger thoughts into a small number of categories. Remembering becomes very easy then. It's just a matter of training, not intelligence.
What should he do? 1. He has discovered that his young son has started smoking.
2. He just found out he had his pocket picked on the bus.
3. He has a flat tire on the expressway.
4. He sees someone drowning.
5. He sees someone getting ready to commit suicide.
6. He is rich and his friends keep asking for a loan.
7. His girlfriend is always on some fad diet and is getting sick as a result.
8. His wife is spending too much money on credit.
9. His son says he isn't interested in going to college.
10. For her birthday, his wife wants a diamond ring and fur coat.
11. He saw his girlfriend with another man.
12. His daughter wants to move in with her boyfriend.
13. He has a chance for a big promotion, but if he accepts, he will have to move to another country for a long time without his family.
14. His company is providing generous early retirement incentives.
15. He needs a new car and a new apartment, but he can't afford both at the same time.
16. He is the only one among his colleagues who hasn't gotten a recent pay raise.
17. His rich father is threatening to cut off his inheritance if he marries the only woman he has ever loved.
18. He lost half of his money invested in the stock market.
19. His wife wants him to be a house husband, saying she has more potential for financial success.
20. His brother has committed a serious crime and needs an alibi.
Lesson 33. Agree or disagree. Example: Money makes us happy. Answer: If you are a miser, money makes you so happy that you never want to spend any of it. Otherwise, it is not the money that you enjoy. It is the things you can buy with it. Nice vacations, comfortable homes, dressy clothes, fast cars, or new phones and computers. But the deeper question is whether material things can ever make us truly happy. Many people who seemingly have everything are extremely unhappy in their day-to-day dealings with the world, while many others who have nothing go through life with joy and gusto. True happiness is not directly related to things, but rather to the soul. Agree or disagree. 1. Women are ready to do anything to look more beautiful.
2. He says life deserves to be lived for at least 100 years.
3. Marriage is the best part of a human being's life.
4. Childless couples are happier than those with kids.
5. Everybody lies.
6. A lot of money can break families down.
7. To die is better than to live in disgrace.
8. Animals and plants can think and feel just like us.
9. Some people treat their pets better than they treat their neighbors.
10. Love and marriage are not the same and should not be treated alike.
11. Good looks and good brains seldom share the same body.
12. The end justifies the means.
13. Honesty is always the best policy.
14. Kids are getting weaker and becoming less independent all the time.
15. After 40, it's all downhill.
16. No man can be friends with any woman.
17. You can succeed if you try hard.
18. We don't have to learn any foreign languages thanks to translating machines that will be available in a decade.
19. Men suffer reverse discrimination in modern society.
20. To be a great artist, you have to be crazy. Lesson 34. Do you believe? Example. Do you believe in love at first sight? Answer. Absolutely not. If you think you are in love, but you don't know the object of your affection very well, it's not really love. It's just infatuation or lust. Love must grow with time and understanding. It requires patience and responsibility. Infatuation is a desire for an immediate relationship, usually sexual intercourse, with little or no thought about what the other person is really like.
Answer these questions. 1. Do you believe that how one looks affects getting a job or a promotion? Why or why not?
2. Do you believe being happy is independent of having money? Explain why or why not.
3. Do you believe the one-man, one-woman philosophy is true? Why or why not?
4. Do you believe your parents? Can you give any examples of their being right or wrong?
5. Do you believe that the problems our society faces can be resolved by technology? If so, will we be happier as a result?
6. Do you believe that your kids will support you in the future? Why or why not?
7. Do you believe what ads say? Tell us why we might want to be skeptical.
8. Do you believe your friends will remain loyal regardless of your situation? Have any of your friends ever abandoned you?
9. Do you believe in ghosts, or are they just a figment of the imagination? Do you have any evidence for your belief?
10. Do you believe that money can buy anything? Name 2 things money can buy and 2 things it can't.
11. Do you believe that your love toward your sweetheart will fade away as years go by? Why or why not?
12. Do you believe your spouse if he or she says that he or she will not marry again after you die? Explain your answer.
13. Do you believe in life after death? Why or why not?
14. Do you believe that a white lie might be a good thing in some situations? If so, when? If not, why not?
15. Do you believe the saying, "The beautiful die young"? Give some examples.
16. Do you believe what salespeople say? Under what circumstances?
17. Do you believe what religious leaders say? Defend your answer.
18. Do you believe that your destiny is predetermined? What is the basis of your belief?
19. Do you believe that spanking school children has good educational effects? Explain your answer.
20. Do you believe your future will be better than your present?
Lesson 35. Priorities. Example. What are your priorities when you buy a car? Answer. Of course, the first priority is price. I'd like to buy a cheap model with cash, so I wouldn't have to borrow any money, if possible. I'm willing to buy an old car to get the best bargain. Design and make are also important factors to me. And you know gas is getting expensive these days, so everybody is concerned about mileage. I like compact cars because they are economical in terms of taxes, gas, insurance, etc. Another advantage is that thieves are never interested in small cars. Talk about your priorities. 1. When you choose where to honeymoon.
2. When you are looking for a girlfriend or boyfriend.
3. When you want a place to live.
4. When you decide your college major.
5. When you choose a restaurant for lunch.
6. When you are job searching.
7. When you choose where to vacation.
8. When you choose a school for your children.
9. When you divvy up chores with your spouse.
10. When you subscribe to a newspaper.
11. When you shop for clothes.
12. When you go drinking with your friends.
13. When you need a doctor.
14. When you want to change jobs.
15. When you are shopping around for insurance.
16. When you have 2 important events to attend, but they are at the same time.
17. When you decide on a hobby.
18. When you are in search of the perfect pet.
19. When you want to get someone a gift.
20. When you decide whether or not to emigrate. Lesson 36. What are their excuses? Read me. We hear a lot of excuses in the course of our personal and social lives. Let's talk about the kinds of rationalizations people often make. What are the most common excuses they make? Example. Drivers who speed. Answer. I was in a hurry. I didn't really notice how fast I was going. I was late. I was just keeping up with the flow of traffic. I was in complete control of my car. and it is always well maintained. There was no danger at all. I didn't think there would be a police officer there. People who drive too slow are more dangerous than those who go too fast.
What are their excuses? 1. Tax evaders.
2. Drunk drivers.
3. Divorcing couples.
4. Parents who spank their children.
5. People who fail to quit smoking.
6. Those who are unable to quit drinking.
7. Students who do poorly in school.
8. Politicians who don't keep their promises.
9. Men or women who have extramarital love affairs.
10. An ex-con who commits another crime.
11. Hubbies who forget their wedding anniversary.
12. Employees who are late for work.
13. Employers who just cut wages.
14. Students who gave up trying to learn English.
15. Singles who do not want to marry.
16. Teens who smoke and drink.
17. People who don't exercise.
18. The rich who never help the poor.
19. Young people who are constantly dieting.
20. Doctors who do not tell their patients the truth.
Lesson 37. Pros and cons. Example. You are elected president. Answer. Why would any honest man want to be president? No president is able to live his own life anymore. He is always being targeted by his political rivals, and he must always decide important matters correctly while at the same time maintaining high moral standards. In short, his life has to be unexciting and beyond reproach if he is going to continue to hold public esteem. But sometimes he must also make deals with friends and foes alike in order to accomplish anything. But if a man has some intellectual ability and wants to serve his country, he should try to improve society if he can. Such an action deserves the respect of his fellows, and such a person could use the power of the presidency to make things better for everyone. This person would be far better than just a power-hungry politician who cares more about the benefits of office than the national welfare. Talk about the advantages and disadvantages of the following. 1. You are a man.
2. You are a woman.
3. You are single.
4. You watch soap operas a lot.
5. You live in a big city.
6. You still live with your parents even though you are married.
7. You live with your parents-in-law.
8. You are a full-time housewife.
9. Your wife has a job outside the home.
10. You have won the lottery.
11. You are the oldest son.
12. You only have daughters.
13. You are childless.
14. You are a billionaire.
15. You are henpecked.
16. You have a car.
17. Your daughter in high school has a boyfriend.
18. Your kid, a college student, has several part-time jobs.
19. You own your own business.
20. You are an employee of a big conglomerate. Lesson 38. What would you do? Example. What would you do if your wife refused to live with your parents? Answer. First, I would give her many reasons why all of us living together makes sense. For example, I would tell her my parents would be around all the time to help look after our children and household chores, and that they have lived through many things and would be able to give us good advice to avoid some of their problems. On the other hand, they are getting older and weaker, and more lonely, and that we have a moral responsibility to support them. But if she still rejected my reasons, I would let her live alone with our children, and I would live with my parents myself. I can't let them live alone. They need someone to take care of them. After all, they sacrificed everything to bring me up, and now it's my turn to help them.
What would you do? 1. If your husband came home drunk every night.
2. If your children fell behind in their schoolwork.
3. If your teenage son started smoking and drinking.
4. If you saw someone with a flat tire on the road.
5. If you heard someone shout, "Stop, thief."
6. If you saw money fall from someone's bag.
7. If your child got a black eye from a classmate.
8. If you got too much change back at a store.
9. If your spouse wanted you to get life insurance.
10. If you failed to get promoted twice.
11. If your sweetheart wanted to break up with you.
12. If you were standing in line and an old woman cut in.
13. If you saw a naked person at the beach.
14. If your spouse snored a lot at night.
15. If you and your best friend both loved the same person.
16. If your grown-up kid didn't want to get married but wanted to live in your house.
17. If your spouse suddenly got the urge to quit his or her job and take a round-the-world trip.
18. If you had to choose between your job and your marriage. You have a very dangerous job, and you know your spouse wouldn't like it.
19. If the doctor told you that you had an incurable disease.
20. If you knew doomsday would come next year.
Lesson 39. Making choices. Example. Suppose your child were spanked in school. Would you protest to the school authorities or act as though nothing happened? Answer. If your life message for your children is that might makes right, then by all means you should support corporal punishment in school. Otherwise, you should make your opposition to it very clear. After all, spanking is an act of violence regardless of who does it. Teachers should not be allowed to engage in such barbaric behavior. We all know violence has no positive educational value. It just begets more violence. But when authority figures commit violence, it seems to send the inappropriate message that sometimes it is acceptable, especially when it is performed by the strong upon the weak. Make a choice and tell why. 1. Will you get married or remain single?
2. If you were stopped for a traffic violation, would you accept the ticket or make excuses?
3. Your hubby is unable to support your family. Will you get a job yourself or simply seek a divorce?
4. Will you take your next vacation here or abroad?
5. You are going to make a trip to Busan. Will you take the express bus, the train, or a plane, or will you drive?
6. Would you give your seat to a young child standing on the bus or keep sitting in it yourself?
7. Would you rather live in an apartment or a house?
8. Do you prefer to use the escalator or the elevator if you have a choice, or to use the steps?
9. Which do you like better, a dog or a cat?
10. Who is more important, your parent or your spouse?
11. Do you prefer going to the movie theater or watching movies on TV?
12. Do you want a son or a daughter as your first child?
13. Would you remarry or remain single if your spouse died?
14. What do you like to drive more, a compact car or a luxury sedan?
15. Where do you usually meet your friends? A coffee shop, a bookstore, a fast food restaurant, a park? Why?
16. Do you like beef or pork better?
17. Which do you like better, makgeolli, soju, beer, or whiskey?
18. What would you choose for breakfast? Cereal with milk or a traditional Korean dish?
19. Do you want your baby to be breastfed or bottle-fed?
20. Do you want to be reborn, reincarnated, as a man or a woman? Lesson 40. What are the reasons? Example. We study history in school. Why? Answer. The most popular reason given is that we can learn from our past mistakes. But any serious study of history shows that we don't learn much. We keep doing the same dumb things time and time again. This is true even though, broadly speaking, the same circumstances occur again and again. So the real reasons we should take history seriously is to gain a deeper understanding of human activity at large, and to give ourselves some sort of identity as part of a larger entity, such as a nation or culture that has traditions and roots.
What are the reasons? 1. People are getting fatter. Why?
2. People aren't saving much money anymore. Why?
3. People are getting married at older ages. Why?
4. We require our leaders to have good morals. Why?
5. Every country has laws. Why?
6. We study philosophy. Why?
7. We exercise. Why?
8. We need recreation. Why?
9. We want to find out if extraterrestrials exist. Why?
10. Many people have a religion. Why?
11. One man, one woman. Why?
12. People want to travel. Why?
13. Politicians are seldom trusted. Why?
14. Some people just want to be seen on television or have their names in the papers. Why?
15. The older people are, the more reluctant they are to divulge their true age. Why?
16. College degrees have lost some of their appeal. Why?
17. They say stress can be the best means for accomplishing something. Why?
18. Kids are becoming naughtier. Why?
19. Love usually fades away as time goes by. Why?
20. The handicapped have more willpower than ordinary people. Why?
Lesson 41. Right or wrong? Example. Money makes people happy. Answer. I could never understand what people have against money. They say, for example, money can't buy you love. Of course it can't. But it allows you to get an education that lets you get a good job, which makes it possible for you to afford to take a desirable woman on an interesting date, and allows you to have something intelligent to talk about. It lets you buy good clothes and a nice car and a home, all of which will help impress her with your financial stability, so she won't have to worry so much about her children's future. And if none of this is enough, you can flatter her by giving her expensive presents. None of these activities constitute love itself, but they all represent important steps in the process of achieving that goal. Don't you think it's better to have money in order to have a decent chance to win the heart of the one you love than to lose your true love for lack of ready cash? Is it right or wrong? If so, why? If not, why not? 1. Justice always prevails.
2. The more we know about the world, the more stress we have.
3. Of course, platonic friendship is possible between men and women.
4. Marriage is nothing but the loss of freedom.
5. Parents love us unconditionally.
6. A man with a religion is happier than a man without religion.
7. A college diploma is necessary for getting a good job.
8. Environmental problems can be solved by technology.
9. A love match guarantees happiness better than an arranged marriage.
10. We don't know what happiness is until we're married.
11. It is better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all.
12. Rich celebrities are certainly happy. Why wouldn't they be?
13. All men are created equal.
14. Divorce is better than unhappiness.
15. A friend in need is a friend indeed.
Lesson 42. What would happen? Example. Many people are calling for the abolition of the death penalty. They say capital punishment does not bring down crime rates. What would happen if their demand were accepted? Answer. In fact, many countries have already done away with capital punishment. The odd thing is that it does not seem to make any difference at all. The various kinds of crimes committed in any given society remain fairly constant. If murder is common before the death penalty is removed, murder rates continue at about the same pace. If kidnapping is very rare, its occurrence does not suddenly increase just because the death penalty is removed. The opposite is also true. Adding a death penalty for various crimes does not significantly deter the commission of those crimes. What we need to understand is this. Laws need to be fairly and effectively enforced to keep crime rates low, but the actual nature of the punishment doesn't seem to make much difference.
What would happen? 1. Tobacco and alcohol problems are to blame for many diseases and crimes. Their bad effects are sometimes even compared with drug problems. So what do you think would happen if the government doubled the price of liquor and cigarettes?
2. These days, many young couples choose to remain childless, claiming they are too busy to properly take care of kids or that having and raising babies is too expensive. What would happen if this trend goes unabated?
3. If people continue to consume more and more junk food or instant food, what will happen?
4. Many people don't like politicians, most of whom happen to be men. What do you think? Would electing a female president lead to higher trust for government officials?
5. If there were no mandatory retirement age in the workplace, what would happen? Who would benefit and who would lose?
6. What would happen if the global computer system broke down, including the Internet?
7. What would happen if English became an official language in this country? Would it cause an improvement in English ability for most people?
8. All workers seem tired and under heavy stress these days. What would happen if they worked only 4 days a week? Do you think more leisure time would help improve productivity?
9. Current laws are said to be much too permissive. What do you think about making them stricter? For instance, what about sending drunk drivers to jail for very long periods of time? And would there be any bad side effects?
10. What would happen if adulterers did not have to worry about going to prison?
Part 2. Quizzes. Lesson 43. What is it? Example. The slow increase in the temperature of the Earth caused partly by the greenhouse effect increasing the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Question. 1. What is it? 2. What are the causes of this phenomenon? Answer. 1. Global warming. 2. Most climatologists are convinced that a number of factors may be at work, but that the main contributor is the vast increase in the use of carbon fuels, such as gasoline and coal. Other factors may include long-term cyclical patterns that we can do very little about. But we can do something about the main cause, use less energy or develop new sources such as solar, nuclear, hydrogen, air, thermal, or electric-powered devices. In fact, the same climatologists are saying we must do so very quickly, or the resultant weather changes will be catastrophic. Answer these questions. 1. A container filled with objects typical of a particular time and place that is buried and scheduled for recovery at some particular time in the future. Questions. 1. What is it? 2. Why would people bury one of these?
2. A very large wave or series of waves caused when something, such as an earthquake, moves a large quantity of water in the sea. Questions. 1. What is it? 2. What happens when it occurs?
3. The right to remain in another country if you cannot live safely in your own because of the political situation there. Questions. 1. What is it? 2. Who seeks it?
4. A means of providing for the nation's defense by requiring military service from certain people. Questions. 1. What is it? 2. Is it fair, proper, or necessary?
5. The global football, soccer championship held every 4 years. Questions. 1. What is it? 2. How important is international sports in a country's development?
6. One means of persuading people to buy certain products or services, especially via the media. Questions. 1. What is it? 2. How do we know if its claims are true?
7. A political act of killing as many opponents as possible by blowing oneself up in a crowded place. Questions. 1. What is it? 2. What triggers this?
8. The practice of promoting one nation's own industry by discouraging foreign competition, especially by charging very high tariffs. Questions. 1. What is it? 2. Is it good for the world economy?
9. An agreement made by a man and woman before they marry about how they will divide their money and property if they get divorced. Questions. 1. What is it? 2. Would you make one? Why or why not?
10. A type of diary on a website that is changed regularly to give the latest news. The page usually contains someone's personal opinions, comments, and experiences. Questions. 1. What is it? 2. Do you have one? What do you usually write?
11. The feeling that a person gets who resides in a foreign land but has trouble adapting to daily living conditions. Questions. 1. What is it? 2. Explain what you have experienced.
12. A cosmic ball of frozen gas that emits visible particles as it is struck by sunlight. Questions. 1. What is it? 2. Are you afraid of the deep impact a future big comet would eventually bring about? Lesson 44. What subcategories are there? Example. Question 1. What kinds of crimes are there? Question 2. What do you think is the most heinous crime? Answer. 1. Muggings, fraud, vandalism, and murder are only a few of the many criminal offenses. 2. The worst crime is torture, I think. It destroys victims' minds as well as their bodies. It makes people confess to things they are innocent of and forces them to abandon their most deeply cherished principles. Even if people survive torture, its effects stay with them their entire lives. Rape is another heinous crime we often overlook. It demolishes a woman's, and sometimes also a man's, self-respect, and society often blames the victims of rape rather than the rapists themselves, making the consequences even worse.
Answer these questions. 1. Question 1. List the kinds of weather. Question 2. What kind of weather do you like the most?
2. Question 1. What kinds of fruits are there? Question 2. Which do you like best?
3. Question 1. What kinds of music are there? Question 2. Which do you enjoy the most?
4. Question 1. What kinds of movies are there? Question 2. Which do you like the most?
5. Question 1. What kinds of professional sports are played throughout the world? Question 2. What players make the most money?
6. Question 1. List the traffic rules drivers break most often. Question 2. Which of these are the most dangerous to break?
7. Question 1. What kinds of careers exist? Question 2. What is the best profession? What is the worst?
8. Question 1. What kinds of cars are there? Question 2. What kind of car do you want? Why?
9. Question 1. List a few common diseases. Question 2. What disease are you most afraid of? Which one threatens mankind most dreadfully?
10. Question 1. What kinds of TV shows are popular? Question 2. Which night has the best television shows? Name them.
11. Question 1. Classify personality. Question 2. Define your own personality type.
12. Question 1. List a few common hobbies. What are the most unusual ones? Question 2. What hobbies do you have?
Lesson 45. What's the difference? Read me. Students are sometimes confused by similar words. Let's talk about how their real meanings differ. Example: public relations, PR, and advertising. Answer: PR is often called spin. It is an attempt to promote a good public image for a person or company, especially one that may be considered controversial. But ads, quite simply, are designed to sell goods or services rather than create an image. Some ads attempt to do both at the same time. What's the difference? 1. Running and jogging.
2. Tap water and bottled water.
3. Being thrifty and being stingy.
4. Weather and climate.
5. Sports and exercise.
6. Biography and autobiography.
7. Fired and laid off.
8. Aptitude and ability.
9. Newspaper and magazine.
10. Commercials and ads.
11. Fiction and nonfiction.
12. Social drinker and alcoholic. Lesson 46. Different personalities. Read me. People have different personalities, and hence they have different attitudes toward the same thing. Talk about these differences in the following cases. Example: those who live in the city and those who live in the country. Answer. Many people live in the city because they have to, for school or employment. But some would rather live in a rural area. City life is hectic, impersonal, noisy, and expensive. Country life is more relaxed, and people know each other better. But there is not as much to do there, and basic amenities such as emergency medical services may be difficult to obtain.
How do they differ? 1. Buyers and non-buyers of lottery tickets.
2. Those who drive safely and those who drive recklessly.
3. Those who make money in the stock market and those who lose it all.
4. Those who are successful in their job and those who are not.
5. Those who lead a happy life and those who do not.
6. Rich people and poor ones.
7. Optimists and pessimists.
8. Leaders and followers.
9. Those who quit smoking and those who cannot.
10. Criminals and law-abiding people.
11. Liars and honest folks.
12. Playboys and the monogamous.
13. Hard workers and gold brickers.
14. Good students and poor students.
15. The physically active and couch potatoes.
16. Tourists and stay-at-homes.
17. Readers and television watchers.
18. Lovers of fast food and gourmets.
19. Fans of pop music and of classical music.
20. Ordinary sportsmen and those who pursue extreme sports.
Lesson 47. What do they suffer? Read me. Everybody suffers from some kind of stress, and stress differs from job to job and among personality types. Let's talk about what some real stresses are. Example. What kind of stress does the president probably suffer from? Answer. The president has to balance the needs and desires of all the sectors that make up a nation. He or she can't make all the people satisfied all the time, but is under immense pressure to do so. Some phenomena are probably beyond the ability of political leaders to deal with in an effective, direct manner, such as the weather and economic conditions, but nonetheless, the president will usually be the object of praise or scorn, depending upon the circumstances. What are their common stresses? 1. Panhandlers.
2. Cab drivers.
3. Professional athletes.
4. Movie stars.
5. CEOs.
6. The jobless.
7. The poor.
8. The rich.
9. Teens.
10. Retirees.
11. Husbands.
12. Wives.
13. Students.
14. Teachers.
15. Ex-cons. Part 3. What does this mean?
Lesson 48. What does this mean? 1. Example. Backseat driver. Answer. A passenger who constantly gives the driver unwanted advice, warnings, and criticism. Backseat drivers often make the driver irritated and nervous, making a traffic accident more likely. So, when you are riding in a car with someone else, you're better off remaining silent and letting him do the actual driving, even if you think he isn't doing a very good job.
Explain what these words mean. 1. Defensive driver.
2. Peer pressure.
3. Cheapskate.
4. Big mouth.
5. Clock watcher.
6. Junk food.
7. Mama's boy.
8. Yuppie.
9. Dutch treat.
10. Henpecked husband.
11. Runaway car.
12. Junk mail.
13. Stalker.
14. Gold digger.
15. Crocodile tears. Lesson 49. What does this mean? 2. Example. It's a kind of spiritual snobbery that makes people think they can be happy without money. Answer. This means that some people are proud to claim they don't need money to be happy, but they are not really happy. They are only trying to pretend that they are. Actually, they have no ability to make money themselves and are too poor to recognize how money actually helps make people happy. Explain what these sentences mean. 1. Nobody can give you wiser advice than yourself.
2. Give, and you may keep your friend, even if you lose your money. Lend, and the chances are that you will lose your friend, even if you get your money back.
3. Blessed is he who expects nothing, for he shall never be disappointed.
4. Love is the whole history of a woman's life, but just an episode in a man's.
5. A lean compromise is better than a fat lawsuit.
6. When asking for advice, we actually want approbation.
7. Your standing in the community is established by what people say behind your back.
8. The borrower is servant to the lender.
9. A woman's beauty is not a gift to man, only a bribe.
10. It takes a loose rein to keep a marriage tight.
11. Some people seldom repeat gossip the way they heard it.
12. A marriage without conflict is almost as inconceivable as a nation without crisis.
13. You can make more friends in a month by being interested in them than in 10 years by trying to get them interested in you.
14. Children have more need of models than of critics.
15. It is an error to suppose that courage means bravery in everything.
16. Some people are always grumbling because roses have thorns. I am thankful that thorns have roses.
17. Adolescence is like a house on moving day, a temporary mess.
18. I find television very educational. Every time somebody turns on the set, I go into another room and read a book.
19. The opposite of love is not hate, it's apathy.
20. When a man says money can do anything, that settles it. He doesn't have any.
21. There are two kinds of failures, those who thought and never did, and those who did and never thought.
22. There is no failure except in no longer trying.
23. Some people merely ask why and others demand to know why not.
24. A sure route to humiliation is to admit that you paid what the car dealer was asking.
25. The time to stop talking is when the other person nods affirmatively but says nothing.
Lesson 50. Proverbs. Example. Beauty is only skin deep. Answer. Something that is skin deep is shallow and superficial. It doesn't extend very far. To say beauty is only skin deep implies that something has a pretty exterior, but that's about all. What you don't see is hidden under the skin, and it may be more important than physical beauty.
Explain what these sayings mean. 1. Easy come, easy go.
2. Don't get mad, get even.
3. Man does not live by bread alone.
4. Money talks.
5. Actions speak louder than words.
6. A man is known by the company he keeps.
7. Money begets money.
8. Nothing ventured, nothing gained.
9. A rolling stone gathers no moss.
10. The shoemaker's kids always go barefoot.
11. That's life.
12. Time will tell.
13. Every man is his own worst enemy.
14. You can't please everybody.
15. One man's trash is another man's treasure.
16. It is better to die on your feet than live on your knees.
17. There is no such thing as a free ride.
18. It is better to light one candle than to curse the darkness.
19. Everybody's business is nobody's business.
20. If you don't make mistakes, you don't make anything.
21. Guns don't kill people, people do.
22. The grass is always greener on the other side of the fence.
23. Money doesn't grow on trees.
24. Love is blind.
25. Do as I say, not as I do. Lesson 51. Acronyms. Example. FDA. Question 1. What does it mean? Question 2. What does it do and how does it affect other countries' industries? Answer. Answer 1. Food and Drug Administration. Answer 2. It tests the safety and purity of drugs and food. Countries' goods that do not meet the minimum requirements will not be allowed to enter the U.S. for sale. Answer these questions. 1. UNICEF. Question 1. What does it mean? Question 2. What does it do?
2. AIDS. Question 1. What does it mean? Question 2. Why is it one of the most fearsome diseases?
3. CEO. Question 1. What does it mean? Question 2. Talk about the qualifications for becoming one.
4. IMF. Question 1. What does it mean? Question 2. What does it do?
5. GMO. Question 1. What does it mean? Question 2. Are they safe? Why do people worry about it?
Lesson 52. Lifestyle Quips. Example. Even water tastes bad when taken on doctor's orders. Answer. This means that being forced to do something takes the pleasure away from that activity. I have read many good books in my life, but none of them were forced upon me by a teacher. As my boss always says, business trips are not pleasure trips. I've been around the world and visited many cities for my company, but I have not enjoyed any of them nearly as much as when I've had the time and inclination to explore one on my own. We do whatever we have to do, but that doesn't mean we'll like it.
Explain what these quips mean. 1. A mistake is proof that someone was at least trying to accomplish something.
2. Having money and friends is easy. Having friends and no money is an accomplishment.
3. Ability will enable a man to get to the top, but it takes character to keep him there.
4. Man blames most accidents on fate, but feels personally responsible when he makes a hole-in-one.
5. Every accomplishment, great or small, starts with the right decision. I'll try.
6. Advice is never appreciated. If it leads to a good result, the recipient thinks it was his own idea, and if it turns out bad, he eternally blames the advisor.
7. Ambition without determination has no destination.
8. A wealthy bachelor is someone who saved money to get married and then changed his mind.
9. Maybe money can't buy love, but it can rent it.
10. The worst boss anyone can have is a bad habit.
11. Wisdom is knowing the difference between determination to transform those conditions which can be changed and acceptance of those which cannot.
12. She is a woman with a past, but that doesn't stop her from looking for a man with a future.
Part 4. Make your point. Lesson 53. Make your point. 1. Read me. Based on the outline provided, expand on the topic and give us your opinion in detail. Example. Health is the most important thing in life. Once it is lost, you can never get it back completely. Be sure to eat well, sleep enough, and avoid stress if possible. Exercise also helps you remain fit. Regular checkups are indispensable too. Answer. People can recoup their losses in the stock market, regain a lover's affections, or find a new lover, or reform their character, but they may not ever be able to recover their lost health. However, taking care of ourselves is actually easier than we may think. If we have an adequate, balanced diet, if we get enough rest, and if we pace ourselves and keep everything in proper perspective to minimize stress, most of us can maintain our physical activity over a long period, a lifetime, comfortably and enjoyably. The other really important aspect of staying healthy involves regular exercise. But you don't have to work out in an expensive gym for several hours a week. A brisk walk for 30 minutes a day is all most people need, though they may want to supplement this with a few minutes of stretching. Last but not least, get a thorough medical examination every year. Within days, you will either know that you must take some necessary steps to keep from getting sick, or you will have complete peace of mind knowing that nothing is wrong with you. Make your point. You may also disagree. 1. Gas prices are skyrocketing. You want to get rid of your car soon. Too many cars are on the road. The subway takes you anywhere in the city on time.
2. You want to start taking a lunchbox to work. You are sick of eating out. Restaurants are too expensive. Too many people dine out, making restaurants noisy and uncomfortable. If the restaurant is empty, the food or service must be poor.
3. You think TV can never be educational. It rots a child's brain. Commercials encourage overspending. Children are getting fat from watching TV.
4. It's amazing how few people seem to be really worried about AIDS. AIDS kills you, and it's spreading fast. You can get it from engaging in unsafe sex or even getting a blood transfusion. Most importantly, one must get educated about the disease before it is too late. By taking preventive measures, anyone can be safe.
5. People are prejudiced against fat people. Obesity is a disease. Fat people do not just eat whatever they please. They have difficulty burning up calories in their everyday activity. Even exercise doesn't help some fat people.
6. We should make tobacco illegal. It is fatal to smokers and non-smokers alike and poses great risks to people's health. Nicotine is among the most addictive of all substances. Secondhand smoke can ruin the health even of innocent non-smokers.
7. It is true that politicians disgust us with their low moral standards. People are becoming indifferent to politics. They often neglect to vote. The easiest way for evil to triumph is for the good to sit back and do nothing. We can only stop the vicious circle of corrupt politics by voting intelligently.
8. Stress is unavoidable in modern society. We must learn how to cope with it. If not, we will all be destroyed by it. But we can also make it our life's locomotive. If well managed, it stimulates our creative power and leads us to better lives.
9. Crime rates are on the rise. Laws are too permissive. Strict punishment is said to discourage criminal acts. Singapore is an outstanding example of this theory. But the death penalty should be the exception, not the rule. Capital punishment is too extreme, given the uncertainties of the law and police practices. No one should be allowed to take a human life, not even a judge.
10. Some people say life is predetermined before our birth. Destiny cannot be changed. But we shouldn't be discouraged, because there is something even stronger than fate. Good and bad habits are our real destiny. If you choose good habits, your life will be full of light, but bad ones will lead you into darkness. Lesson 54. Make your point, too. Example. Why is a college education important? Answer. A college education expands our knowledge of the world. It deepens our interests. It widens our abilities. It makes us more broad-minded and less ignorant. It provides us with useful human contacts. It forces us to work hard to achieve something worthwhile. And, perhaps most importantly, it gives us a certificate called a diploma for success.
Make your point on the following issues. 1. Why are friends important to us?
2. Why do we have to be on time for appointments?
3. Why is keeping our promises to ourselves the most difficult?
4. Why is it dangerous to drive drunk?
5. What does having a job mean for you?
6. What is the importance of family?
7. Why are laws necessary?
8. Why are morals necessary?
9. Tell us why we should learn English.
10. What benefits does money provide?
11. How does money spoil us?
12. Think of all the reasons why people can't quit drinking and smoking.
Lesson 55. Social Phenomena. Example. Juvenile crimes are becoming more prevalent. Answer. Just a glance at any population chart will show that wherever there are a lot of young men between their early teens and late 20s, crime rates go up. They constitute a very active force in any society. They have lots of energy and probably too much free time, and they lack maturity. So, unless they have jobs, they are usually on the prowl for something exciting to do, especially something that may make them some money. But they don't usually understand fully the consequences of their actions. They are focused only on short-term thrills or needs. Make your own point in the following social phenomena. 1. People are almost always busy.
2. Divorce rates are going up too quickly.
3. Family size is much smaller than even 40 years ago.
4. The number of childless couples is on the rise.
5. More people are driving than ever before.
6. Many people are choosing to remain single longer or not getting married at all.
7. A two-income family is becoming the norm.
8. Almost everybody invests in stocks.
9. Among young people, physical fitness is deteriorating.
10. Life expectancy is expanding.
11. No one reads as much as his grandparents did.
12. Dishonest, unscrupulous people are more likely to succeed than the morally upright. Lesson 56. Who is responsible or who is more responsible? Read me. Let's discuss whether two parties to a dispute are both responsible, and if so, which is more so, or whether only one is. Example. Today, many angry consumers are suing tobacco companies for the cost of their smoking-related diseases, especially cancer. They argue that the firms have not educated people enough about the possible consequences of smoking. But the cigarette makers retort that an adult knows about the harmful effects of smoking and chooses to smoke anyway, so he should be held responsible for his own actions. The company just provides a product but does not force anyone to use it. Do you think smokers are justified in blaming the tobacco companies? Who is more responsible, the smokers or the cigarette makers? Answer. 1. Nicotine is one of the most addictive substances known, so once hooked, few people can successfully break their smoking habit. Since the companies know this and even carefully adjust nicotine levels to maximize sales, they should be held responsible for selling addictive drugs. This is particularly true to the extent that the firms are marketing to youngsters. People may be blamed because they voluntarily start smoking, but not because they are unable to quit. 2. Whoever begins smoking knows he is holding a gun to his head. Is it the tobacco company's fault if he pulls the trigger? The dangers of smoking and the difficulties of quitting are well known, so the smoker must take the lion's share of responsibility on himself.
Who is responsible or who is more responsible? 1. Many people say that achieving success is solely a personal matter. They think self-effort is more important than family background or social relationships. On the other hand, some believe that these external factors are all important in determining how well one does. What do you think? Which is more important? Who you know or what you know?
2. Too many people are addicted to gambling, drugs, alcohol, etc. Social scientists often claim that society at large is more responsible than individual victims. Do you think so? If so, then in what way is society at fault? What role does personal responsibility play, if any?
3. We live in a corrupt world that is convinced that money has the almighty power to do anything. Even though bribery is illegal and givers and takers alike are equally culpable, the practice continues unabated. Both parties may be liable to equal punishment, but one question remains unanswered. Morally, who is the most responsible, the bribe giver or the bribe taker?
4. We keep electing people to office who promise reforms, but once in office, take full benefit of the same immoral practices they criticized. Who is more responsible for this state of affairs, the cynical politicians or the naive voters? Or is it the political system itself that should be blamed?
5. Whether or not sexual discrimination exists in professional life is the subject of a major argument. Some say it does not, but others, especially women, insist that ingrained social prejudice is at work. If you think unreasonable discrimination against females continues, who do you think is at fault, the men or the women? How can the problem be resolved?
6. Kids show less respect to their elders than they used to. This is a complaint as old as Plato. I suspect that it is mainly a matter of relativity. When we are young, we resent the formality and phoniness that is demanded of us by society. We want to be free and natural, without artificial restraints on our behavior. But inevitably, we grow older. As we find fewer of our dreams being realized, we want some sign of being important, and we remember what our parents told us about how young people should behave toward older people. We resent not being given the amount of honor we think we are entitled to, but we forget when we were young how little of it we actually bestowed on others.
Lesson 57. What is wrong with this idea? Read me. Can you discover logical flaws in the way people think? Example. After long observation, he's positive that love and marriage is far less important than a similarity in the couple's wealth and social status. Answer. Love is an inner quality, not a material property. Love is truest when least deserved and hardest to bestow. Anyone can love someone with many pretty objects, an exciting personality, and fantastic looks. But only someone who really loves that individual can joyfully put up with that individual when the fortune is spent, the boredom of middle age has set in, and the body has turned into flab and wrinkles. What's wrong with this idea? 1. He claims that street vendors should be banned since they don't pay any taxes, and thus they constitute unfair competition to legitimate businesses.
2. She thinks that spanking our children is a necessary evil if we are to bring them up well. Spare the rod and spoil the child, she says. Spanking doesn't really hurt any kids, but it helps focus their attention on what they did wrong.
3. He believes the more money he had, the happier he would be. If one were only rich, he could do anything, go anywhere, have whatever he wanted. How could any wealthy person fail to be happy?
4. Since most great leaders have been male, obviously men are superior to women. At least that's what my professor says. Maybe he's right. When I try to list great leaders, it's hard to think of any woman at all. But it's always easy to come up with a lot of men.
5. He claims that members of elite society, because they have more money, influence, responsibility, and presumably more ability and intelligence, should have more than one vote. Why should their ability to make good decisions for everyone in the community as a whole be so limited, especially since they are outnumbered by their inferiors, who routinely make bad choices?
6. Parents shouldn't expect their adult offspring to support them. Even if parents have spent a lot of time and money providing for their children's well-being, they have merely done their job as parents. Growing kids is a parent's responsibility, and joy, it is not an insurance policy or an investment portfolio. Lesson 58. Good things and bad. Example. All people want to retire early. They want to enjoy their lives comfortably without having to work. But are they really happy when their dream comes true? What are some good and bad aspects about early retirement? Answer. In my country, I'm eligible for full retirement at 66, but I can retire early with partial benefits at 62. On the one hand, I'm very tempted to stop working early. I'm still in good health, and I'd like to travel to many places I haven't had enough time to go to, while I still can. If I wait another 4 years, my old body might not let me go anywhere. On the other hand, I enjoy my job and, of course, the income that goes with it. I worry that I will have difficulty adjusting to retirement due to both boredom and bank book issues. But I guess I have to make up my mind soon, since I'm 61 now.
Good things and bad. 1. What kind of car do you like? A compact, a sedan, a sports car, an SUV? Your choice certainly depends on your taste, but also, most importantly, on your finances. The rich tend to buy big cars, so they can flaunt their social status, while the less affluent must be satisfied with buying compacts. But in most cases, you will probably find both satisfaction and dissatisfaction alike, regardless of which type you buy. What are the good things and the bad things about the 4 kinds of cars?
2. You bet. Young people hate having to be subjected to conscription. Many are willing to try every means possible to avoid their military obligations because they have heard about the hardships and risks. But some, especially the ones who have already finished their military duty, look back and say that they have learned many good things and that their lives changed positively as a result. What could they have possibly learned or experienced in the military that would make them feel that way? What other good things and bad things are there about martial life?
3. Remarriage after the death or divorce of a spouse is a very serious problem for many. Doing so may strain existing relationships to the breaking point, especially if children are involved. But it may also be difficult to live alone or even to support oneself or one's family without help. That's why many divorcees choose to remarry. But the problem is that not all of them are happy. What are the good things and bad things about remarriage?
4. I have 2 uncles. One of them is self-employed. The other one works for a big company. They talk to me about their jobs and try to give me advice. What do you suppose they say about the pluses and minuses of their employment situations?
5. Many people love their dogs and cats as much as they love their children and pay even more attention to them. What are the good and bad things about loving one's pets?
6. Credit cards have become a must in today's economy. Some places do not even accept cash anymore. What are the best and worst aspects of having a credit card?
Lesson 59. What has this change brought about? Read me. Now is the time to look deeply at how one kind of change brings about other kinds of change, sometimes unexpectedly. Example. Women's equality in the professional world has meant more than just economic opportunity being available to members of both sexes. What else has it led to? Answer. Women have a right to pursue their own dreams and interests as much as men do, and clearly many of them are more qualified for their jobs than their male colleagues. But opening the workforce at every level to women has led to many negative consequences as well. For one thing, it has contributed to declining birth rates and exploding divorce rates. For another, it has made it very hard for traditional families with just one wage earner to keep up economically and socially with their 2 paycheck neighbors. What has this change brought about? 1. Skyrocketing auto ownership has marked Korea's emergence as a modern consumer society. What changes has the phenomenon brought in its wake?
2. The prevalence of instant food and fast food indicates more convenience for busy people. What else does it cause to change?
3. The growing number of college graduates rightly indicates that a nation has an adequate pool of highly trained specialists and technicians. What other changes has it caused, though?
4. Living in apartments instead of houses saves spaces, especially in a crowded urban society. But what has been lost due to this particular lifestyle?
5. The internet means I can easily keep in touch with distant friends, and I can do my work anywhere I happen to be, no matter what time of day it is. But those same factors also contribute to making my life a lot more complicated. In what ways do you think that is true?
6. As societies develop economically, their members tend to work fewer days a week. That's a good thing, I suppose, but it also poses many problems. What do you think some of these might be? Lesson 60. Laughter is the best medicine. Read me. Laugh your way to better health. A vast amount of medical research indicates that laughter produces significant changes in immune system functionality, beginning at the cellular level and pervading the entire biological system. We have long been aware that negative factors, such as depression and stress, can compromise the immune system. But now scientists have clear evidence that laughter can improve it. And the best part about this discovery is that you don't have to wait until you're ill to experience the medical benefits of laughter. Even if you don't laugh much now, you can begin to practice right away. Ready? Example. They've been married 5 years, and she still hasn't told him how much money he's earning. Answer. The point of the joke is that his wife regards her husband as a money-making machine, and he seems to accept his destiny as a henpecked hubby, giving her all the money he makes without question or complaint. It's a tragedy that so many husbands hand over all their money to their wives and then have to beg them for an allowance. Do you think this is a good idea? Or do you think husbands should handle all financial matters themselves? Or would mutual decision-making work?
Explain what these jokes mean and comment about them. 1. He doesn't carry life insurance, only fire insurance. He knows where he's going.
2. My mother-in-law was kidnapped last week. The kidnappers said if we didn't send $25,000 quickly, we would have to take her back.
3. He married his secretary, thinking he'd continue to dictate to her.
4. He's marrying at 70 but is still looking for a home near a school.
5. When he buys anything, he sees only the initial payment.
6. They took the for better or worse vow, but they didn't say for how long.
7. The only time he opens his mouth is to ask her for the apron and the vacuum cleaner.
8. She threatened to divorce him once, and he couldn't help shedding a few chairs.
9. He never knew what happiness was until he married her. Then it was too late.
10. Judge to defendant. I note that in addition to stealing cash, you took watches, rings, and pearls. Yes, Your Honor, replied the man in the dock. I was taught that money alone doesn't bring happiness.
11. Joe is the man for me, said a starry-eyed young woman to her mother. He's nice, he's handsome, he's smart, he's hard-working, he's funny, he's strong, he's kind. He's married, interrupted her mother. So, nobody's perfect.
12. He told his children Santa Claus is too old to get around anymore.
13. Father, I want to get married. No, my son, you're not wise enough. When will I be wise enough? When you rid yourself of the idea that you want to be married. 14.
When he's in, she's out. When she's in, he's out. They can't find each other to discuss a divorce.
15. He could convince his wife that she looks fat in a fur coat.
16. She swore she wouldn't talk to him for a month, and he's certainly unhappy about it. The month is almost over.
17. He's very sympathetic. He can't bear seeing an old lady standing up in the subway, so he always buries his head in a newspaper.
18. As soon as she starts giving her side of the argument, he shuts off his hearing aid.
19. I've had bad luck with both my wives. How come? The first ran off with another man, and the second didn't.
20. My uncle had an automobile accident, but the doctor told him he would have him walking in a month. And did he? Yes. When the doctor sent his bill, my uncle had to sell his car to pay it.
This is the end of Talk, Talk, Talk 2.